The story of Liz Truss's ill-fated time as Prime Minister is one of the most dramatic in British political history. And it explains why today's governments remain so scared that their economic plans will fall foul of the bond markets and bring them down with it. Trussonomics destroyed investor confidence in the UK economy and massively increased the price of borrowing for the UK government. Truss also shattered the long-standing Tory reputation for competent, if not generous, economic management. The turmoil of her short 6 weeks in charge arguably led to the massive Labour majority of 2024, and her legacy goes a long way to explain why the current British government is so scared of breaking its spending rules for fear of falling foul of the same forces. Today we'll cast our eye over her brief time at the top of British politics, look at the mistakes that she made, and learn how eventually she fell humiliated from power. Welcome to History Counts. If you believe, like me, that understanding the past is key to understanding the present, then please do subscribe. I make a new video every week. Liz Truss became Prime Minister on the 6th of September 2022, succeeding the massive character of Boris Johnson, who'd been brought down by a series of scandals. She was not elected by the general public. She was brought to power by a small selectorate of pretty right-wing Conservative Party members. She ran for leader, promising massive cuts to both spending and taxation, a Thatcherite agenda that was hugely popular with her own party but untested on business and the British public as a whole. After an initial 2-week period derailed by the death of Queen Elizabeth II, Liz Truss and her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng unveiled their economic growth plan in an event that became known as the mini-budget. Before Kwarteng even delivered that speech, he and Liz Truss, it turned out, had already made one of the biggest mistakes of their premiership. They said that the measures that they planned to set out would not be independently assessed by the Office for Budget Responsibility, the OBR. Now we hear a lot about the OBR these days, not least because of their massive leak of the budget last week. But back in 2022, its job was little known to the public. Their task, which they did in a pretty low-key way for many years, was to assess the government's tax and spending measures and see how it would impact public finances. On the 23rd of September, Kwasi Kwarteng stood up in Parliament and announced an astonishing array of measures as part of his mini-budget. Measures far bigger than anyone had expected, and frankly far bigger than most full-sized budgets. It included massive unfunded tax cuts, a 1p cut to the basic rate of income tax, a reversal of planned rises to corporation tax and national insurance. Most surprisingly, he also announced the abolition of the 45% top rate of tax paid by the most wealthy people in Britain. Markets went into meltdown. Confidence in the UK public finances evaporated, the value of the pound dropped dramatically, and the cost for the government of borrowing the money it needs to fund everyday public services soared. No one in British politics, finance or economics had ever seen a self-inflicted injury like this one before. And of course all of this made Liz Truss incredibly unpopular with the public as a whole. High costs of borrowing for the government always feed through into higher costs for borrowing for individuals in the form of mortgages, credit cards and private loans. Within days she was under intense pressure to change course, and finally on the 3rd of October at the Tory party conference in Birmingham, Kwasi Kwarteng announced that the government would U-turn on its decision to get rid of that top rate of tax. They were desperate that that measure would stabilise financial markets and save their ailing government. But it wasn't enough. Government and market turmoil continued until eventually, on the 14th of October, Liz Truss realised and did the inevitable. She sacked her Chancellor and closest political ally, Kwasi Kwarteng. To replace him, she brought in Jeremy Hunt, the most mainstream of Conservative political figures. Early on his first Monday in office, he made a televised address before markets opened in which he announced the reversal of almost all the other measures in the mini-budget. Liz Truss and her Conservative Party's credibility was in tatters, but at least the markets were stabilised. From then on, Liz Truss was effectively a lame duck Prime Minister, and over the course of the next 2 weeks, enough of her own MPs moved against her that on the 25th of October, she felt she had to resign as Prime Minister. It made her the shortest-lived Prime Minister in British history. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Today I make a new video every week looking at some of the issues from the past which still affect us today. Let me know what you want me to do next in the comments down below.